Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Fun Health Podcast. I'm Dr. Gold. I am so excited to have you. We have such an amazing guest, a dear friend as well, Karen Frost. And thank you for being here today. She's an amazing plant health coach. I'm going to tell you about her in just a moment, but we actually knew each other from college. We used to run track together. And then I moved to Tampa, and lo and behold, I ran into her like years later. So it's just amazing.
Yeah, so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
You're so welcome, and I'm so excited.
Me too.
So I'm going to just tell you about Karen. So Karen's plant-based journey began in 2019 after a personal health wake-up call. With a passion for helping others live healthier, happier lives, Karen has shared her expertise on topics like mindfulness, meditation, stress management, and cultivating happiness and plant-based eating on community and national levels. A licensed mental health counselor with 25 plus years of experience in helping professionals, Karen is also a certified yoga instructor who teaches 2 gentle yoga classes at the Lotus Ponds in Tampa, Florida. She's currently expanding her skills through a 300-hour advanced yoga teacher training program. Welcome, Karen.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
This is great.
Oh, you're so welcome. It's a delight. Amazing person, amazing spirit. So for people who don't know you yet, tell us a little bit about who you are as a mom and how your health journey began.
Okay, so I have been very focused on health, my own health personally for the last several years. What happened for me goes back to when I was about 41. So we have 3 children.
Okay.
I have a 14-year-old son and twins who are 11. I'm an older mama, as you can see, 54 now.
Wow.
So we started later in life. I was 40 with the first and 43 with the twins. But before that, to back it up a little bit, it was about a year after my son was born, we watched Forks Over Knives. That was the documentary that kind of outlined why eating certain animals wouldn't be healthy. And so that really pivoted me and my husband to kind of look at not eating land animals. That was the beginning. So I was about 41 when I stopped eating. We went pescatarian, essentially, just eating still eggs, dairy, and then any fish or seafood. And then several years later, another documentary. I watched it, but it didn't shift anything. It was called The Game Changers. It's on Netflix. But what happened for me was about 7 years ago, I was diagnosed with very high blood pressure, scary high, the kind that they didn't start me. Usually, you're a doctor, and for people listening, usually they start you on a water pill or something lighter. This was, your blood pressure is so high, we need you to be on a beta blocker. So they put me on a beta blocker. I was on it for about a year, and I started reading and I started researching, and I'm like, I can't just keep taking this pill the rest of my life. Nothing against medication, it's important, but is there a different thing that I could put in my body, into my mouth, instead of a pill? Could it do the same thing?
Right.
And the more I read, Dr. Greger and lots of other, Dr. Michael Greger, who's a huge plant-based advocate, I started realizing that this is not my, that I have to have high blood pressure the rest of my life.
Right.
My family has it. It was in the family. And I just made a shift, and it was a decision. Let's try this. I was on it for about a year, the medicine, but during that time started adding in a whole bunch of plant-based foods, and we'll talk about that more. But that was the biggest game changer for me. That was, blood pressure went down to amazing levels. Everything changed. I mean, menopause, didn't even know I was in it. Skin cleared, my hair got thicker, it was thinning here, everything. Weight loss, about 20 pounds, just kind of dropped off because I wasn't eating the things that were inflaming me and were causing the weight gain and all those, kind of sluggish feelings. Energy levels shot up. So,
Awesome.
Yeah,
So proud of you. High five on
Thank you.
that.
I know.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, I can't sing enough praises about it. I mean, the one regret that I always say that you may hear other folks who are vegan or plant-based say is that I wish I had done it sooner. It's the only regret.
Yeah. And I wish, honestly, for all my patients, if they couldn't get sick, that would be the number one, right? Never have illness.
Not need you,
To
right?
not need you,
Yeah,
right? That's
yeah.
my goal, is to not be needed.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm here for you, but if you don't need me because you're so well, that's awesome.
It's the best.
Happy to hear that, too.
Good.
So you said you navigated menopause without hot flashes or night sweats, which I'm a little jealous here, which blows a lot of women's minds. When did you first realize your experience was different?
So I will say, just right off from the start, it is, this is an anecdotal, this is my experience. It doesn't mean if you go plant-based, this is going to happen for you. And I will say, yes, family history does play a part. You know, that if our moms had a rough menopause, it's likely we'll have those symptoms. But when I look at the research, it mimics and reflects what I experienced, which is, yes, night flashes, or hot flashes, I can count on maybe 2 hands.
Wow.
I mean, I just don't have any shifts. I don't have the night sweats. I'm 54. I probably was about 51 when I went through menopause, but it's kind of the craziest story. I didn't even know I was in menopause. I went in for something to my GYN. They looked at labs that had been pulled, blood taken from 2 years before that, and they said, "Oh, your markers show that you've been in menopause for the last 2 years." And this was 3 years ago. I thought, that's wild. The only difference of my behavior at that point, I was still exercising the same amount. That certainly can help, right? Decrease the symptoms, but was eating no dairy, no meat, and then increasing the amount of veggies and fruits. And
that's great.
And all but the big piece, and there is a lot of evidence-based research that proves this, is that eating soy products, full, whole soy products, is what reduces hot flashes, is what reduces night sweats. So if it's not tofu, if that's not your thing, edamame, and I don't mean soy that's in every kind of food. I'm not talking about that processed stuff, but whole foods like edamame. That's something most people say, "Oh yeah, that's great. I love it. Can we have a handful 2-3 times a day? Is that enough?" I don't know. There's a lot of, when you look at the studies of women in Asia who don't eat the standard American diet, the SAD diet, as we call it, in the plant-based world, but they eat whole foods that include maybe a little fish. I don't eat fish, but if a little bit of that, but it's mainly soy-based tofu, tempeh. They have almost no incidences of hot flashes, and they also have very low rates of breast cancer. So there's correlations there. Again, I'm not a doctor, you are, but the research is out there and it's really clear.
Yeah, and what we do know is the phytoestrogens in those foods, and they can bind to those estrogen receptors. And we know we need estrogen in the Women's Health Initiative. Women with the lowest estrogen actually have the highest risk for breast cancer. If you think of women who typically get breast cancer, are they young or are they old? Typically, they're older women with lower estrogen levels. I usually say if estrogen caused breast cancer, that means all women would have
it, and they don't.
Thank God we don't all. And also, women who are pregnant have one of the highest levels of estrogen and progesterone to maintain their pregnancy. They also have the lowest level of breast cancer, which is so great, because we don't want them to get breast cancer. We don't want anyone to.
Yeah.
So
I think, just to piggyback on what you're saying, is that just my own experience it wasn't just adding in the plant foods, the beans, the legumes, the tofu, the tempeh, but it was the lack of the inflaming foods for me. It was the lack of dairy and the lack of meat was what helped my body recoup. I mean, I remember vividly going back to my doctor a year after going plant-based. And this was when I was eating a lot of the foods that are store-bought vegan foods. And she said, wow, what did you do? You look different. We had, titrated down safely off the blood pressure medicine with her consent. But she's like, what changed? And I said, the only thing different is my diet.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Another high.
Yeah, I know. I was like, okay, I can do this. And if I can do it, busy mom with 3 kids, then I think it's possible for other people too.
Yeah.
That's something that when I do plant-based workshops, and now I'm adding the cooking component and the eating and mainly eating component to my workshops, is it's very possible to make foods that are simple, easy, few ingredients, inexpensive. It's less expensive. And then, of course, there's layers. There's the 3 reasons that I think of now. My own health is what started my journey, but the other pieces are the earth and the resources in the earth, and how much water it takes for, to support the growth of land animals and then to eat. And then the animals themselves, of course, So and are we factory farm? Are we eating those animals? Or are we eating something that's from a farmer in a field somewhere? There's a difference in the quality of what we eat. But I think about what I ate years before that. I ate everything. I was a carnivore, omnivore. I ate it all. I mean, I ate lots of all those foods, and I think of I thought it was healthy. I thought that's what pork loin, shrimp. I mean, it's tasty, bacon, delicious. I mean, but then, you think about what the World Health Organization is saying about bacon and processed meats and how unhealthy they are.
Thank you for sharing this. It's really, I always say, it's tasty and delicious, but is it nutritious?
That's right. Yeah. I want delicious and nutritious.
Right.
Those are the
too.
two. Those are the those are the 2 things that we want. I mean, I don't want to eat food. I don't want to eat a whole bunch of salads. I want to eat things that are like full of life, that are going to give me that life and feel good, and I want to feel good when I eat.
Yeah. Well, can you share some examples?
Sure, yeah.
Especially busy mom, how do you do it?
So that's a great question. I think if you make the decision to lean into plants or go plant forward, as it's called, is to really look at your own plate and decide, what else can I add? Just that it's not taking anything away. We're not, yes, I guess we are. We're removing maybe meat, maybe dairy. Those are the 2 things I would absolutely start with. Maybe it's 1 meal. And then maybe it's, okay, I'm not going to have any meat for breakfast, and then slowly, and all of this, any behavior change, whether it's exercise more or be more social or our food and our nutrition, is all about what works for us. So it's either starting slowly and put your toes in the water, or you jump in full. And for me, it was kind of slow, because I went from, being a pescatarian, eating just the fish and seafood, and then full on, I'm not eating anymore anything that has a mother or eyes. That's kind of where I am now. And then I'm getting kind of even deeper into it. But to either start really slowly, and physically, I think it's important for your body to adjust. If you eat a whole bunch of beans, your body is going to rebel, right? I mean, your body can't handle that. Just the same way, if you ate a whole bunch of meat or a whole bunch of cheese, your body would rebel. It would stop you up for a while. So start slow, or if you know your personality, jump right in, But I would say, look at what's there and add to it. Dr. Greger always says this, and I repeat his words. When you sit down to eat and you're looking at your plate, what else can you add to that bowl of pasta with the red sauce? And it's hopefully, high protein pasta and all that. Can you add a handful of arugula? Can you add a handful of chickpeas? Can you add black cumin? Those are things. Well, black cumin is also a blood pressure lower, so I add that. Legumes are great for bringing pulse rate down, right? So all these things are good for those markers that kind of help us determine whether we want to live a long time, or we are going to live a long time. And now when I think about being a plant-based mother and raising kids to choose what they want, but they're really mostly plant-based, is I want to be around. I want to hold grandkids. I want to be, and I want all the people I know, right? And all the people I know and friends and family to live to be in their 90s and their hundreds. And I want to, my goal, and I tell my yoga students this, is to be 95 and gardening and bending over and walking and loving my family, loving my husband, all those things, to be able to do that in your 80s and 90s without a walker, without a wheelchair, is going to be determined by, I think, mainly what we eat. Yes, movement, exercise, important, but in terms of weight loss, inflammation, it's what we put in. So the other thing I would say is, for introducing it to family, the resistant partner who's like, oh no, I'm all about meat and potatoes, or the kids are like, picky choosy, is start with your sweets, start with the dessert, start with the yummy snacks. I had to hold myself back from bringing you some treats today. I was like, well, I don't know if we can eat because nobody can taste it, but in my workshops, the report is this is amazing. And my cream cheese, my cashew cheese, it's a recipe I've tweaked. I always give kudos to the author of the book. I always talk about where I get my recipes and then share the ones that I have created. But it's 5 ingredients. It's 5. You tasted it.
Oh, so
cashew
good.
cheese. It's 5 ingredients, and they're all accessible. They're not expensive. I mean, And then the other thing with how expensive things are is, there's a few things I would say to that is, meat is really expensive and eggs are super expensive. I don't know, I haven't bought any in many years, but when you weigh it, beans are way less, and fruits and veggies, and you can, of course, get them in bulk if you have a, bigger family. But I would start with the family, the treats, the desserts. When I first started, I would bake and cook and bring out these yummy, my kids have cookies for breakfast. This morning it was a high protein smoothie. I threw everything in. It was a kitchen sink smoothie, frozen blueberries, soy milk, cacao, little booster. They don't drink coffee yet, so we gotta get the boost, right? And then what else? Spinach, cinnamon, like random peanut butter. It's delicious. It's great. So tofu. I put tofu in. I put a chunk of high protein tofu. Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah. So it's just a matter of, and I think, in our minds, we think, oh, it's so hard. Yes, it might be, but it's just like anything, right. If you're not gonna run a marathon by tomorrow, you have to train. You have to take it little by little, right? So let me add, if you're going to batch cook, let me add a plant-based item to the batch cooking this weekend. Let me try to, I actually asked my last workshop participants, how many of you batch cook? And only one person in the whole group of almost 20 people batch cook. So I don't know how many people out there batch cook.
What is batch cooking?
So batch cooking would be like you're working all week. So if Saturday and Sunday are your days, you're going to take 3 to 4 hours on Sunday to make your meals for the week. So you have them, okay, I have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday through Friday lunch. And then these are the things that I would, maybe make some rice and some beans, and then you'd eat, you'd have veggies. So it's all ready to go, fairly fresh. It's not, right out of the fridge, but it's all good, nutritious stuff, but it's using your time differently, that you're not cooking each night, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and that's what we do at our house.
Okay.
It makes life so much easier because you can actually put it in Tupperware, so my husband can take it to go to work if he wants to do that. I can do it as well, and then it's just done for dinner. We just have to heat up, or sometimes just take it out because it's a salad, or it's something that's just ready to eat, some hummus or tabbouleh or whatever. We're just like.
Now, how do you do the salad with the dressing? Do you put the dressing on
so
after?
We usually do it after, and it just keeps. We find that it keeps longer, and also I just try to make sure where we put the salad, it's not really wet or in a soggy area of what I found.
Fridge.
If there's certain parts of our refrigerator that get frozen. I don't know why. So
Yeah.
sometimes if I put it way back, then my lettuce comes out frozen. I'm like, no.
Right.
So I now have it in a different part. And then sometimes I'll honestly put like a little towel or something
to absorb.
to absorb
Oh,
any of that
good.
moisture. And it actually works.
Yeah.
So the vegetables
awesome.
last longer, because I do get a lot of folks say, Dr. Gold, I'm buying this food and
It doesn't last.
it doesn't last. I have to throw away all this food. So there's actual ways. My husband actually cuts up the onions and puts it in a Tupperware. And it, first of all,
Saves.
it's cut up onions. It saves time, but it actually and he puts it with a paper towel, just a moist paper towel, so it actually lasts
the
longer.
onion.
It lasts so much longer than it
That's
used
amazing.
to.
Oh, we
Yeah.
need to talk more about
Well, yeah,
that.
we can
That's
definitely.
great.
That could be a workshop too.
Yeah, yeah.
But it is important, and know that your vegetables can have, you don't want to keep
Life.
them. Yeah, they can have life,
Right.
and they can last. For us, it's about a week or so. It depends on what we're making. But yeah, you cook and
great.
put it away, and we Tupperware it, so it just makes it so much easier.
I think, when you think about the cost of food, and okay, it's rising, but when we think about our own health, I think most people would pay anything to have good health. And if you think about the cost of treatments, whether it's a weight loss pill or shot, now, or surgery or cancer, or, these are all these things that happen, not necessarily because of food or what we eat, but it's linked for sure. And if we can do everything to mitigate and reduce the chances of getting these like diabetes type 2 is very reversible, but it's a matter of deciding what's enough. What do we want to do? Spend our money on the medication or the food? And on the earlier side with kids especially, this is our chance to give them this opportunity to live a long time.
Right. And the other thing you were mentioning about what else can I add? I talk about what else can I do to spice it up, and not necessarily hot spicy, but we did actually clean out. We had so many seasonings that are like, what do I do with all this stuff? But I realized the extra I was going to donate to a soup kitchen. But the ones that we did actually have, I'm starting to add. Now I know where they are. So yesterday we had a salad, and I was like, what else can I add? And I added sesame seeds, black sesame, white sesame seeds. We have cinnamon, turmeric. So it was just like adding, and it just changes. Like for a stew, it was so good. Yeah. So I love to spice it up a little bit, and you can get good nutrients that way.
Oh yeah.
For blood sugar,
Spices.
Especially.
Oh yeah. Yep.
The turmeric,
Spices are the best.
cinnamon lowers that blood sugar. Studies have shown hemoglobin A1C can be lowered by a whole point in some studies. And that's huge.
From eating the spices.
From doing, the spices can do that. And specifically, cinnamon can do that. And it's amazing. I say that because I do have some patients, they're treating their diabetes with cinnamon. And again, this is not personal medical advice, but if it can help them, I'm like, why not? And you can get the specialized cinnamon or cinnamon cassia, or I have Ceylon, but make sure it's a good brand, it's organic, it's it's a certain amount dosing wise, so you would talk to your provider who's knowledgeable in that.
That's great to know.
Yeah, they do have capsules, but I usually say if you have any gut issues, sometimes sprinkling in and getting the food, because a lot of my patients, a lot of my patients tell me I do not want to take more pills or more supplements, Dr. Gold. What else is there? And I'm like, well, let's do it by food. And the food can actually make a huge difference. And you can use food as nourishment. As we know, food is medicine. And it feels good too, the way you prepare. Brussels sprouts are just one example. I've said this before, but I used to hate Brussels sprouts. Why? Because they were mush when I was in school. They just boiled them. And now my father-in-law made them crunchy like potato chips. And they're so good.
Of course, right. So any vegetable, if you have it in a certain form that's not delectable, of course you're going to say, "Oh, I never want to eat that again."
Right.
I think it's very exciting. For me, the world is completely open of what I could possibly eat and all the combinations and
Exactly.
you know what you're in the mood for, what flavor palette
Exactly.
or taste palette you want. There's so many things.
Yes.
It's really
Frozen fruit.
exciting.
Well, we're going to get up.
Yeah.
Usually during my
Okay.
podcast, we want to get moving because
All right.
my big thing,
We're doing
moving and
it.
grooving,
Whew.
we don't want to
Okay.
sit all day because our bodies just lock up. So if you're able
Stretching.
to, I would like you to rise spiritually, physically, whatever you're able to do.
Love it. Love it.
And when we land nice and tall, and she's also a yoga
Yeah,
teacher.
yeah.
Did you want to lead us?
Sure, I
Okay.
can. Yeah,
Okay.
just I think knowing your own restrictions, listen to your body. So if bringing the arms up too high doesn't feel good, just take the arms and reach the arms up. You'll keep your arms wherever they're comfortable. Take a look. Maybe take the palms together, cross the thumbs, and just take a little back bend. Bend the elbows and bring the head back up, and see if you can bring your thumbs to the nape of the neck. And then take the hands and open the hands and just rest your head into your beautiful hands. Deep inhale through the nose. Exhale and send the arms out wide. Good. Wiggle the fingers. Take the hands and bring them back and forth. Yeah. And so that's one thing actually while we're standing here. It's like during the pandemic, I noticed, this was basically when I was in menopause, but also dabbling and really jumping into plant-based eating and then taking the hands maybe to the shoulders, is that my recovery time and workouts when I eat beans and greens is amazing.
Oh, really?
And when I eat less ultra processed foods, and now I eat very few, but I still have a few things. I'm still working on the sugar. Yeah. I try to, always dates or the friend. That's what I put into the smoothies. But I like my chocolate chips. But if I can stay away from any of those things or a bunch of, I don't eat refined sugar except for the chocolate chips. We could just take the arms up maybe. Can we exhale and swan dive maybe? I don't know how that'll work with the microphone.
Yeah, just let go.
Inhale, halfway lift the head, exhale, and then reverse swan dive. Taking the head all the way up, good.
It feels good.
But yeah, the recovery is amazing when you eat plant-based. I feel like and just muscle development, having that, I've never had muscle in my arms that was visible until going plant-based.
So how much protein, because I've had that.
Great question. Yeah. So protein's a funny topic. So I think it's in trend still to it's still something people ask about. It's the first question I get from everyone. How do you get your protein? So my joke is like, do I look protein deficient? Because I don't feel it. So I think, we know why we need protein, and it's one of the very important macros. I'm not diminishing the amount of protein we need. I think in the plant-based world, the consensus is we don't need as much as what someone who's in the gym would tell you need. That, you need, it's whatever the figure, 1.5 grams per kilogram, or was it pound or kilogram? So, do we need it as we age? Yes. Do older women and men need more protein? Yes. Can we source protein from plants? Yes. So do I get protein from hemp seeds? I have 2 tablespoons in the morning. I eat protein almost immediately within 30 minutes of waking up to help level off my glucose throughout the day. But I think that there is the idea that we need so much protein is always built maybe around the meat industry, that you've got to have. That was kind of the byline. I think now the focus really ought to be fiber. We need more fiber than we're getting. Americans get way less fiber, and the health of our belly and the digestion is everything for the rest of our health. So, I never throw out numbers when I'm teaching my workshop, but I have high protein cookies that are for breakfast that my kids will have. I have high protein smoothies. I have all
what's
these
the high
things.
protein cookies? What's in that?
So pumpkin seeds, so seeds and nuts, and so if someone's allergic to nuts, then I would say seeds. Most people aren't allergic to both, so we can tahini. You could put tahini in it. I put almond butter or peanut butter, and then hemp seeds. Oats have some protein, not a lot, but they have some. Most vegetables have protein, not a lot, but again, some. So it's really a matter of like piecing it together and really, I think, like kind of shifting your paradigm that if we have the mentality, which I did for years, that this plate isn't enough unless it has a big hunk of chicken breast or the pork loin or the, whatever. Steak, right. That, if we can do without that, if you could feel full, like I make a bolognese, I'm going to have you over and make it.
Oh, yeah.
That's from tofu. It's literally baked tofu with the right 4 or 5 spices that are on it.
Oh my God.
And that's it. And you bake it long enough, it becomes hard. Throw it in red sauce, store-bought or homemade. And everyone who's had it has loved it. And they were all carnivores, and they're like, this is great. I think it's just shifting away from that the plate has to have this meat.
I understand.
And that's hard. I think that's hard. It's like we've been taught that your meal's not complete, or how is the man gonna feel big and muscular. But you look at some of the biggest mammals in the world that don't eat animal, right? Right?
Elephants.
Elephants, yeah. I'm blanking out on which others, but there are
a bunch of them.
Look them up. Yeah. So they're massively strong, and they don't need to eat meat to feel, to be strong. But yeah, I think it's very possible to get enough protein. And I think that you're at a deficit if you feel tired, if you're feeling sluggish throughout the day. Even some people that eat meat might have low protein. How do we know? How do you know?
Absorption rate. Yeah.
Right, the absorption. It could be something that it means that they have another issue in their body, but I don't know if that answers the question.
Oh, it does.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. It was very helpful. And I just
Good.
only had a few more questions. We can sit if you're still standing, but it's nice to stand if you want to stay standing. You can. And again, thank you so much for being on here. This has been
so honored. Thank you. This is so great to connect here.
Yeah, me too. I love that. So my other part is, someone wants to start out and go plant-based, but it can seem a little overwhelming. So what's one gentle first step someone can take this week without overhauling their whole life?
Yeah, I think I would pick one food that you love and see if you can veganize it. Can you veganize it? I tend to use the word plant-based versus vegan, but can you take something that you like that has an egg in it and just switch the egg out? And
what would you substitute?
So I would it depends on what it is, and so baking is a little tricky because it's science, right? So you shift one thing and it can flop. But so I would take the one piece, let's say dairy. Instead of milk, can you add in soy milk or almond milk? A lot of people already do because they have a lactose intolerance. But I'll give you an example. Maybe the best one is cheese.
I love cheese.
So I would, and I can certainly, I don't know if there's a way to relay the recipe, but you can.
We can actually, if you want to put in the link. Yeah, that would be great.
So I make a Parmesan sprinkle. I keep it in a little container in the fridge. It has nutritional yeast, which has protein in it. A little bit of salt. I do add some salt. There's some kosher salt in there, and it's got garlic powder and cashews, and it's just a couple pulses in a nice big strong blender. I use Vitamix. And just 5 or 10 pulses, and boom, it's this crumbly, it's like Parmesan sprinkle, like your, shaker cheese, or that's what we call it in our house. So put it on top of your pasta. That is the easiest thing. So instead of having animal dairy or cow dairy, we have this plant-based version, and it tastes great. It's delicious. So can we change that out? But in terms of a swap, like no egg, I would do a 1/4 cup of applesauce instead of, or you could do one mashed banana. That can replace an egg. But other egg replacers for baking that I use are a flax egg or a chia egg. So what I mean by that is you take flax meal, 1 tablespoon, or chia seeds, 1 tablespoon. Put it into a bowl, and you mix it with 3 tablespoons of water. So it's 1-to-3 ratio. Mix it, put it aside for 10 minutes, and all of a sudden you have this viscous thing that acts like the egg. It's the binder. It's going to bind your flour, your vanilla, your milk, whatever's in there to make it kind of stay together.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing this. Well, I'm going to just ask, let's close with leaving listeners with one message about trusting their body during menopause.
Yeah.
And what would that be?
Firmly believe that we as women know our own bodies and can be our strongest advocate. I love knowing that there are holistic doctors around like you, like others in the community. I do think that, one thing I say when I teach my workshop is get your labs done. Look at your own labs. Trust that if something doesn't feel right in your body, that you need to investigate it. And it doesn't have to be with it's an allopathic doctor, where the Western kind of, oh, here's some medicine. There are lots of medicines that work very well, but is there an alternative that would be better? But I really think, checking in on how we feel. Right. How do we move throughout the day? Do we feel pretty content? Are we the right weight for us? Do we feel like our skin and, do we have lack of belly fat? Like all those things that are kind of markers for longevity. Can we walk up a flight of stairs without huffing and puffing? Right. Those are things that are important. So yeah, I think really looking at the labs is that's kind of the first start. And the big question is, well, what does it all mean? Like how do you read them? And I think that's where we do rely on someone that's medical who we trust, that we know. I mean, someone like, I'm sure you look at labs, and that's part of, helping someone. That's important. There are books written about how to kind of read your own labs, but we know when we're out of balance. Trust that, I don't think food is everything. I think it's a huge part. In terms of weight loss, I think it's 80% of the picture, whereas exercise is like 20. I mean, I firmly believe that. But there's also, of course, meditation and mindfulness and all those other things that help us, breathing, that help us kind of feel better and really walk into the world in a better state, have muscles and have, a vibrance, a glow. That's what I want to see in my, the clients or the workshop participants when I teach.
I love that.
So, yeah.
I love that. And just a few things to add. When I was doing my bodybuilding contest, a lot of my coaches told me, because I was like, oh, I'll just exercise more, do more ab workouts. And they were like, no, your abs are made in your kitchen. And I said, what does that mean? It actually is what you're eating. And I was eating a lot of foods with salt, like heavy salt. And of course we need salt, but too much can cause somebody to be bloated. I have a family history of high blood pressure, so it can raise your blood pressure. Sometimes there's, everybody's a little different, but for me, it was affecting me feeling bloated. I just didn't even realize how bloated until I started reducing the salt, like the excessive salt, and my stomach, I'm not kidding, just started to go flatter in my 50. Yeah, well, I did it at 49, but almost 50.
Close enough, yeah.
And now the same thing. I'm in my 50s now. We're about the same age. Yeah,
I'm 54.
Yeah, and I'll be 54 shortly.
Yeah.
So, but as I'm eating not such heavy, because I do like salt, I like chips and stuff, but they don't like me. Well, they like my belly. And if I eat less of it, my belly tends to flatten out. So that part was huge, changing just the way I ate. And also, yes, I did a lot of fish, because I even told my coach, I was like, he's like, just eat this chicken, boiled chicken. And I was like, I can't just eat plain meat or boiled chicken, very little carbs all day long. I'm going to go crazy. But what I did do is season it with the healthy parsley. We used, I love dill, just any of the seasonings outside of sugar and heavy salt. I just put bunches of seasoning in it, and I loved it with, lots of vegetables and fish and other proteins like beans and stuff. So I didn't eat so much meat. I did eat a little bit. I was trying to do the grass-fed when I did.
But
but very little dairy
lost
too.
That belly.
Yeah, and the dairy doesn't have a lot of fiber. So that's also, so that was my other thing. Can we just add fiber to the dairy?
Yeah.
But I think it does matter where it comes from. And I do have some dairy, but I do get it from the farm and try to make sure it's a goat milk and it's enzymes, you know, have the good enzymes.
But when you talk about blood pressure and salt, miso is great for adding that flavor, that umami, you know, that yummy, that kind of, that savory, and it adds the salt, but your body is able to metabolize it in a different way. It doesn't send the blood pressure up. And Dr. Greger talks about that. So I put miso in a lot of things. It'll go in a soup instead of salt, and I bake with it. It's pretty amazing stuff.
Yeah, more studies are showing just eating salt is not going to necessarily raise your blood pressure. Right. If some people may be susceptible, and I know for me it was more bloated that I was feeling, but it was also the type of salt. I was getting it where it was processed salt, and it wasn't coming like from miso from a good brand. Right. When I was coming from a good brand, I was not having trouble. So that is absolutely true. And thank you for saying that, because quality of food does matter.
Oh, yes. And I would say, you know, when I do workshops, and I'm doing one soon at the Lotus Pond on April 12th, that's an eating event, but it's also my story. But we talk all about the organic, the Dirty Dozen, the Clean 15, and how important it is to have things
Can
that
you
are
explain
sourced.
that?
Yeah, so the Dirty Dozen is that list. It does shift from year to year, and that is put out to help people decide what to buy that's organic. There are fruits and vegetables that are on the list. And so typically what makes the list for the Dirty Dozen, so these are things you want to find in an organic fashion. So apples are almost always on there, strawberries, any kind of berry pretty much. Anything that doesn't have a big shell. If it has a big shell, like a big, banana, watermelon, mango, go for the conventional. It doesn't have to be organic. That's fine. Just think, you know, the pesticides can't get in there. But when they say Dirty Dozen, those are things that have high amounts of pesticides, higher than we should be eating. And so it's worthwhile to get the organic. Now, what most, like Dr. Greger, who I'm a big fan of, as you can tell, says that if it means you're not going to eat it because you can't get it organic or you can't afford it, it's not financially feasible, don't worry about it. It's better to have it than not have it, even if it's conventional. Clean 15 are things that are, it just doesn't matter. It's okay. You can, but I think red pepper is usually on. That's one of the Dirty Dozen that you need. Really
and
need
even
to
apples too.
Yeah,
because I used to think, just peel it, but it still gets
through.
inside. And
Potato.
and do your best with that. Again, I'm with my patients too. I'd rather you eat an apple than not eat an apple.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
So, and there was one other thing. Oh, the difference between lab testing, when we actually look at labs from a holistic medical doctor's perspective versus conventional. And this is just in my experience, what I find, we have optimal ranges. Right. One thing that I mention a lot of is vitamin D, because we know it's a hormone and a vitamin. And so many of my patients say, Dr. Gold, I went to my other doctor and they said my vitamin D is normal. It was 31. Well, yeah, it is normal. The range is 30 to 100. And if you ever wonder, why is this range so vast? Yeah. I know. Well, the idea is, yes, it's normal, but is it optimal? And I find people that are 30s, which I used to be as well. I was actually in the teens way back when, because I was working all the time. I wasn't outside. Right. You don't get outside, get some sunlight, or it may not get absorbed. It gets absorbed through the kidneys. If you're wearing sunblock all the time, and I understand if you need to wear it, then it's not going to get absorbed through your skin. Yeah. If you're not outside at all. So
not gonna
there's
get
many
it at
different,
all.
or it gets absorbed through the gut as well, but if your gut is sick, it may not get absorbed that way. So there's many reasons. So I do have folks taking vitamin D. I take it as well, just, because my levels have been low in the past and I try to get it to optimal range. And the nice part is I found and I usually recommend 70 or above. That's my go-to. Now, if I have folks
70 or above is the level you want it to be at.
Yeah, for my patients, and for optimal. And what I find is as they're in that range, they feel better. They're not getting, if they suffered with allergies, they're not having as many bouts of problems with their allergies. Their mood is more uplifted. Just a lot of good things that I've noticed. I can't say that's 100%. I know everybody's different. I'm just letting you know my experience. But that's a good example of optimal ranges, because I do get folks say, Dr. Gold, I went to my doctor, everything is normal. Well, that doesn't mean it's optimal.
Right.
And it doesn't mean that you feel great, because I get a lot of patients say, Dr. Gold, I went to my doctor, I feel like SHIT, or I feel like caca. And they said, nothing's wrong, you're normal. And then we go look at the values, and I'm like, well, they're definitely not optimal. So when we optimize, and then we work with all parts of it, how's work doing? How are you eating? How are you sleeping? How's your relaxation techniques going? And if some of them are, we all have something we can work on. There's no end point to how strong or healthy we can get. So as we optimize that, then like, Dr. Gold, I'm feeling better. And I optimize that, and that's feeling better. So, they may not be as concerned with the actual lab. They're focused on feeling better, or sleeping better, or interacting with their families, having a good quality of life. But yes, they look at the numbers, and now they understand what they want to thrive for. So if they see another doctor, they're knowing what their values should be. So it's all about education, I feel. And I want you to feel fabulous, because you can feel meh. But I want you to feel great and have the energy you deserve.
And it's a process. Like, I think there's it's not like it's A to B. This is a continual kind of life. I mean, there are days where I don't eat enough lunch and I crash. I'm not eating something big enough. I'm kind of, I usually plan things out pretty well, but there are times where I just didn't eat. I just thought I would have more time, and I grab a couple bites of something and it's not enough, and then I crash, and I feel, you can feel it, and then later you're trying to make up for it, and you're eating, you're going for the junk because your body's kind of gone into starvation mode. There's all these things that happen that, we all know our own bodies. I think just trusting that wisdom is innate. I mean, that we lean into medical professionals, and then know that if something doesn't feel right, we can do something about it.
Exactly.
It's never too late.
It's not. So I just want to say thank you. I had just one more thing, because it was a study I just read, and I was like, there's always more and more studies, which is good. But this one was about soda, just one soda a day, even sometimes 3 a week, which I know I don't drink soda, but I had it once in a while way back when. But the idea of drinking soda on a regular basis can cause fatty liver. And that can lead to fibrosis and even cirrhosis in some cases. But the reason I'm mentioning, that's end-stage liver disease, the reason I'm mentioning that is because it's all that sugar, the fructose, and the inflammation that our bodies, don't process as well. It's trying to break it down. And some people do well with it. They're lucky, but some people don't. And then you can increase your risk for diabetes, or just you don't feel good. Your energy, your sleep, it can affect all factors of your life. And it's because you get that high. Yes, you drink the soda, you get the caffeine, you get the sugar, you get the buzz, and then you can crash. And you probably have seen this with kids with the sugar crash. I've 100% seen it. I've felt it before.
I remember it,
Yeah, because I don't drink much caffeine now. And everyone's like, you don't drink any caffeine, no coffee? I'm like, no, my husband bans me because I have so much energy. He's like, you're going to go crazy. But the idea is, water. A lot of Americans, a lot of people in general tend to be dehydrated when they did a bunch of studies. And as you get older, your thirst receptors wane. So you don't actually feel thirsty. So you just have to drink intentionally and look at your urine and see that it's clear. The reason I mention that, because it's more than just feeling a little lethargic or tired. Your cells can start to shrink. And if they're not getting enough blood flow, that can affect your concentration. It can affect your efficiency at work. You can become more cranky. Cranky, is that right?
Yeah,
cranky, and then also just like irritable, and then that can affect relationships. I realized a few days ago, and sometimes I forget to drink my water. I have to set reminders, and I have water all around my house now. That really has made a huge difference. So just the accountability, and my husband does ask me, did you drink water? I was like, thank you. Or if I'm telling you now, I'm going to drink water right after we're done.
Same,
But it's why I'm saying all this. We all have to work on it. And even with my eating patterns, I do want to optimize more. So I've cut back now on more meat. I was eating a lot for the contest. Not as much. I did fish, but I did have some meat. but I realized my body wasn't agreeable for me.
Right.
And I think everybody's body is different, so you have to find what works for you.
Sure.
And then the second part of that, same with activities and just anything in life too with your health. But I just want to say thank you.
You're welcome.
You are just an amazing light in this world.
Thank you.
You just gave us so much wisdom and things that we can take with us to practice. And if people want to get a hold of you.
Yes, so plant-based Karen Frost at Gmail is probably the best way. This is really kind of the beginning year of me. The last, I guess, 6 years I've been doing plant-based workshops, but in the last year I've added in the cooking and tasting piece to it. What does a person who's plant-based eat for breakfast, lunch, dinner, dessert, that kind of thing, to really kind of give people the crux of what they want. So yeah, I finished a 10-year career, a 20-year career, and now I'm on to the third. So this is a new life. But plant-based Karen Frost at gmail.com.
I'll put in the link as well in the description.
So I think that's the best way. And I'm doing a couple workshops, one on mindfulness and meditation at the Lotus Pond. I think we have to have all these tools there. I'm a busy mom. I've got to have, I think everyone who's with or without kids has stress, and like, how do we mitigate, all the stuff that is, comes at you, and it's important. So yeah.
Well, thank you again for this. Can I give you a hug?
Thanks.
You're amazing.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. I want to thank you all for joining the Fun Health Podcast with Dr. Gold and Karen Frost. You are amazing light in this world. Remember, you're meant to shine. Your health matters. You can go plant-based. It is possible. And I do have folks doing it every so often. Like, they pick a few days a week, or they pick a period of time, or maybe during Lent or during periods of time that they do it for.
That's a great idea.
You can do it as a challenge. There's so many different ways. The most important part is add in health. Do something for your health every day, because it does pay off. I believe so. Yeah. And I've seen so many of my patients thank God, Dr. Gold, or thank my creator. I didn't know I could feel this good. I didn't know I could have this much energy. My skin cleared up. My menopausal symptoms improved. And when we say this, menopause, as you know, is just a moment. It's a moment in time. It's 12 months after your last menstrual period. So honestly, when I say menopause, it's postmenopausal after that, and then perimenopausal is before. Right. So whatever you're experiencing, again, know that you're not alone. Urinitis for change. We're here to help you, and urinitis for change, because as you change, those around you will see. You'll be an inspiration to others as you uplift your body and your health.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Toodles.